Hello everybody, welcome to Awesome Rusty Bucket. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't that already and drop a like on this video. I'm trying to hit 100k subscribers on this channel by the end of the playoffs, so your subscription would be much appreciated. Also drop a like, only takes 1 second and it makes a massive difference. So today's video is going to be a weird hybrid of two things. I'm going to talk about the Lakers because they're always in the news, and then I'm also going to talk about the Nuggets versus Hornets game that I went to, which was like at the end of March, so it's been a while. It was the 28th, so it has been 9 days, but I wanted to talk about it anyways because that means it is legally a tax write-off. So first to talk about the Lakers. First of all, the other day they lost to the Phoenix Suns, and granted, I'll give them this credit, they played relatively well, all things considered, being that LeBron was not playing and they were playing the Phoenix Suns, who are of course the powerhouse of the NBA. But they lost the game, and that officially eliminated them from contention for the play-in tournament. I'm not going to harp too much on the Lakers season as a whole because I have a video coming out tomorrow about the Lakers on my main channel, so I don't want to spoil those talking points all too much. But it is rather disappointing. That's an understatement. The Lakers as a whole are one of the most disappointing teams of all time, if not the most, and that video on my main channel tomorrow will be talking about whether or not they are in fact the de facto most disappointing team ever. But they lost the game, which means they're no longer in even play-in conversations, and we've seen the bar lowered over and over and over for the Lakers. Like, okay, they're not going to be a high seed, let's just get a low seed. Okay, then I'm going to get a low seed, let's at least make the play-in. They don't even make the play-in. So the Lakers are officially a lottery team this year. There is no changing that, and their season's done. So naturally, what happens when a season is done, other than the fact that there's a couple of games left to be played, is that we start talking about what's next for them. And a couple of reports came out after this game, one of them being that the Lakers are going to likely fire Frank Vogel in the offseason and look to hire Quinn Snyder or Doc Rivers. Now, one of those two options is great. Quinn Snyder is a pretty good NBA coach. He's not without his flaws, but he's probably a top 10 coach in the NBA, and I would say certainly better than Frank Vogel. Doc Rivers is hilarious. Like, the idea that you think Frank Vogel to Doc Rivers is an improvement is just hilarious. Doc Rivers has been one of the worst coaches in the league this year, or at the very least, one of the most standoutishly bad, just simply from the fact that he's under a critical lens because of the success that is expected of this Sixers team, but he has coached this team very poorly. And one of the biggest problems with Frank Vogel, in my opinion, is rotations. His offensive schemes are not particularly great, but his defensive stuff is great historically. It wasn't good this year, but typically is. But his rotations this year in particular were really grotesque and questionable. Doc Rivers is even worse in the rotation department. Literally, it took until his team had James Harden and Joel Embiid to even bring up the notion of staggering starters. Like, he would legitimately run full bench lineups and full starter lineups consistently like this was fucking 2K. And that's just ridiculous. You don't do that. To me, it's one of the biggest signs of being an incompetent coach to run full bench lineups in games where your starters are fully healthy and capable, not to mention, like, having Tyrese Maxey in the game when Joel Embiid is sitting is going to elevate your offense. But no, Tyrese Maxey is only going to play with Joel Embiid. Shit like that. Awful coaching, and I don't think Doc Rivers is a good coach. I think he was decent in his prime, but I think as the years have gone on, he has been worse and worse. And the notion that firing Frank Vogel for Doc Rivers would be an improvement is hilarious to me, but you know what? Lakers gonna Laker. The other thing was that Russell Westbrook reportedly said that the Lakers plan on running it back with him, LeBron, and AD, which him saying that is a very clear indicator that he is going to be picking up his player option. So the pipe dream of him leaving and giving the Lakers all the flexibility in the world when they were otherwise not going to. That's not going to happen. So Russell Westbrook is going to be a Laker next year. He's going to pick up his player option. The Lakers are going to have absolutely no fucking flexibility. The odds of them being able to trade Russell Westbrook is almost nothing, even in spite of the fact that he is just on a one-year contract. And things do not look like they're going to be improving. You could argue a healthy season is going to be a difference maker, but you know what, at this point I don't know why we look at teams that are constantly injured and go, well, when they have a healthy season. No, LeBron and AD are probably never going to have a healthy season again. They might be healthy enough to still win, but they're never going to have a healthy season again. So yeah, that's my thoughts on what's going on with the Lakers, and I'm going to talk about their season as a whole, just like a kind of retrospective on the entire disaster, as well as comparing them to some of the other disappointments and disasters throughout league history, and see where they stand amongst the rankings of that. It's funny that we are going into this season expecting the Lakers to be potentially an all-time great team and a championship team, and now we're ranking them among the all-time biggest disappointments. The last thing I need to talk about, again, is that Nuggets game that I mentioned. I went and saw the Nuggets and Hornets in person, and I might not really talk much about this game if not for the fact that I had a nearly courtside seats. I learned a trick. If you wait till like the last day for the game to actually happen, and it's and the game's not sold out, obviously, which in the case of the Hornets, their games are almost never sold out, you will be able to find nearly courtside one seat for like less than $400, which I realize that's still a lot of money, but to get 3 rows behind courtside, which is where I was sitting, for $320, that was pretty fucking great. And that's just because I waited till the last day, and then there was just one ticket, and like, who's buying one ticket? I am, because I'm a loser who is going to enjoy an NBA game regardless if there's someone else there with me or not. I just want to be really close to the action. So I got to see Nikola Jokic, LaMelo Ball, all those guys like very close to me, and it was a very interesting experience. Those guys are tall. I realize that's not an uncommon takeaway to have here, but this is a weird comparison. But for those who don't know, I'm 6'4", so for people to be taller than me, it's not something I encounter very often. And you know how this is a fucking lame comparison. You know how in like Ice Age 2, Manny meets a bunch of other mammoths and like he's really small by comparison, or how in Shrek 4 he meets all the ogres and they're like way bigger than him, and it's like, oh, he just seemed big because he was around a bunch of small people. That's basically how it was for me to be that close to NBA action. I was like, wow, I feel small, and I don't normally feel small. Anyways, I also got to see just how short Isaiah Thomas is in person, and it's truly fucking perplexing to see someone that height and be like, yeah, that guy averaged 30 points per game in the NBA. If you didn't know, Isaiah Thomas is on the Charlotte Hornets. But it was a good game. It was a really close game, and I don't even recall. I believe, yeah, the Nuggets won the game. I was going to say, I'm not even recalling for sure who won because it was very close. And weirdly, because you're so close, you pay less attention to the scoreboard because you kind of have to look all the way out of your way to actually see the scoreboard. But yeah, it was a very good game. I weirdly have not much to say about it. Nikola Jokic up close was really cool. Didn't take a single jump shot that game. Aaron Gordon had like 17 points in the first quarter, which was crazy. His playmaking was amazing. He had a triple-double, Jokic. I believe he had like 24, 18, and 12 or something like that. And he did it so casually. It's one of those things that, like, anytime, to me personally, whenever I see an NBA game in person, the craziness of a performance isn't as impressive. Which you would think it would be more impressive to see it physically in person, but for me, it comes off just like, yeah, these are just guys playing basketball. Even if one guy is going off, it's just like, it's just guys playing basketball. Even when they're going crazy. When I saw Luka have 34 points in 3 quarters, I was just like, yeah, it's just a guy playing basketball. I mean, that's the most impressive I've ever seen. I've watched Giannis drop 40 and 20 in the finals. and still is just like this guy playing basketball. So yeah, that's my takeaway. Also, I saw DaBaby. I don't listen to rap. I don't care about his music. But I saw him because I was courtside, and that's where, if there's gonna be a celebrity, that's where they're gonna be, because they're fucking rich. And it was very odd to see someone and be like, yeah, that guy is really famous, but I don't care about them. And it's just interesting to see everybody freak out, and I'm just like, yeah, I recognize who that is. So this is a very weird video, but I wanted to talk about that so I can get my tax write-off. You all just participated in me evading my taxes. I also had to it's the 6th, and taxes are due the 15th. I really need to hire somebody. Anyways, Lakers Nuggets game from a week and a half ago. That's it. Goodbye.